we would like to start s našimi biznis raňajkami, ktoré organizujeme pre vás, which we are organizing for you, z Univerzitného technologického inkubátora STU, from the University Technology Incubator of Slovak Technical University in Bratislava. Dneska sme veľmi radi a hrdí na to, že v rámci veľkého projektu medzinárodného môžeme u nás privítať aj študentov, zahraničných študentov z Uzbekistanu. Today we are very happy and we are very proud that according to the international project we can invite here students from Uzbekistan. Hello. So I wish you enjoy this wonderful presentation. Želáme si, aby ste si užili túto veľmi peknú prezentáciu a prednášku od nášho startupistu Dominika Orfanusa, from our startup guy Dominik Orfanus. Dominik Orfanus bol novinárom v časopise Trend. He used to be a journalist in a very
in a Business Weekly
important business newspaper, and then he started here. Potom tu naštartoval svoje pôsobenie v inkubátore, založil startup Benjamin Button a cestovnú kanceláriu.
Welcome.
Chernobyl.
Welcome.
Welcome. So we started here with his startup Benjamin Button. It's a technological startup, and also he set up or he founded an travel agency called
Chernobyl Welcome.
So, and today he will present his experiences from his business, and dneska nám teda bude prezentovať svoje skúsenosti zo svojho profesionálneho života, ako konkrétne, ako spojiť profesionálny život s prácou. So today he presents his experiences from his professional life, how to connect professional life with the personal, how to work very efficiently. So ešte raz srdečne vás vítam a verím, že si užijete dnešnú prednášku a Dominika. So thank you very much and enjoy the presentation.
Thank you very much. A big round of applause for Martina. Je tu niekto, kto nerozumie po anglicky?
Is there somebody who doesn't understand
English?
English.
English is okay. Okay, so so if you don't mind, I will do the whole presentation in English. I will not do the wonderful simultaneously translation done by Martina because it's very exhausting. I didn't get enough sleep tonight, so it would be. I think you would get bored. So as you heard, my name is Dominic, and before I just introduce myself a little bit more and why I'm like, I will show you something on this topic. I would like to just put some few rules on this presentation. So the first rule, the leaders sit always in the front. The leaders from Uzbekistan only today, and then some Slovakia. But here are some free places, and I was practicing the whole day yesterday not to spit when I'm speaking. So you will be safe if you will be sitting here. So please, if you can just move in, it will help me to convey the message better and also not use the microphone. And you can eat, by the way, you can eat here, you can do everything. And also, I encourage you, if I'm boring and you don't like the topic, or you just came here to get a free Wi-Fi, please enjoy it. Like you can really like emails is fine, Facebook is fine, Viber, WhatsApp is fine. Like do whatever you like. You don't need to listen to me. It doesn't disturb me. It's totally fine with me. Okay, as long as you don't disturb the others around you, they would like to listen. And also regarding like kind of like the structure of the presentation, I'm a bit distracted when I'm having too many distractions around me. So if you can save all your questions, please, for the very end, okay? Because if you will be asking during the presentation, I will lost everything that I memorized by heart. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, today's topic is about working and traveling. So it's about combining the personal and professional life somehow. And I have to tell that this topic was kind of like out of the box for me a few years ago, and I was like, what the hell? Like, if you would like to work, you are in the office, right? If you would like to travel or you would like to do something else, you are just doing something else. So I would, or maybe the old paradigm is to divide personal and professional life, and this is very limiting. Hopefully we have some battery left. But a few years ago, and I will tell you at some point where exactly it started, I tried to travel and work. I will not say work and travel because I was trying that in the US as well, but travel and work at the same time. And it's astonishingly surprising how more efficient I am and how much more experience I can be at the same time. So it's very good. I would say very good part of, for example, of a month or of a year for me to spend traveling and working at the same time. So to make this more like traveling, I'll show a little map of the world for you. We will be traveling all around the world today, but we'll be traveling around this topic today a lot. And of course, then returning home, guys, we will need to redraw it to Uzbekistan then, but I will finish in Slovakia, I promise. So, to give you a brief kind of like introduction of myself, so you heard I'm Dominic, I'm running 2 companies currently, and actually, this topic was kind of like done like, hey guy, hey you, like here on this like corridor, like the startup. So is there something you can like share with the others? And I was like, you know, I'm totally dumb. I don't know, like, you know, I don't even know how to wash clothes, for example. I don't know how to turn on a washing machine. So like, is there something? I was like, you know, I like to travel, I like to work, you know. So let's combine it. And then I just realized that, like, hey, I'm practicing this thing that is like this is already described in some books as vagabonding. So maybe I can just talk a little bit about this. So I hope you have no expectations, because I don't have any expectations either. But let's start with a very basic thing, and it's starting with the why. So it's a TED talk. It's a great TED talk for you, those of you who are really at least a little bit into business. So it's a TED talk by Simon Sinek that we will not go into today, but it's about why do you want to travel? That means why do you want to go outside of your comfort zone? Because traveling is always going outside of your comfort zone. You probably know these little butterflies in your stomach, you know, 2 hours before the flight, like, oh, do I have everything packed? And, you know, and then when you land into the other country, like you guys did to Slovakia, oh my goodness, like where to buy tickets, where to do this, how to find this. So it's a totally mess, and it's totally outside of your comfort zone. So my question to you is, and let's discuss it, if you can please share, like why you would like to like travel. So basically why you are here, why would you like to travel? Right, I totally share and I totally agree with all your points. And for me, like traveling is like learning another language. It makes you like we say that a new language. It's multiplying you being a human, you know. So this is like kind of like multiplying myself. And also I agree with the statement that if you are looking for innovation, or like usually innovations happen when the ideas are having sex. That means that if you are meeting other people and like exchanging ideas, and usually it happens in urban locations, because we are like intellectual workers here in the urban area. So you can actually come up with like new innovations, new things, new ways of doing something. So this would be a reason for me. Now, if you can grab your smartphone or a piece of paper, I don't know what you use on your smartphone or tablet. Maybe you use some notes, or just grab a note or open a mail, and we'll take 5 minutes time. I promise it will not be boring, and maybe this will be the only valuable thing that you will take out of this breakfast today. But if you can just sketch your day, how your day looks like. That means that we have 24 hours of one day, and if you can divide it by hours or half an hour or quarter of hours into what you need for sleeping, hygiene, eating, that means all the meals that you have throughout the day, commuting or transportation, working, network, that means not talking to colleagues, not the 8 hours that we are paid for, so the networking time, then chatting, then watching TV, sports, whatever you do during the day. So if you can just draw it for yourself somewhere or just write it down, okay? And you can, those of you who like percentage, please use percentage. Those of you who like hours, use hours. So eating, 2 hours. Sleeping, 10 hours. Working, 0 hours. And then in total, you need to have 24. Who will have more? You will need to recount it, okay? Down, it's okay. I will just continue with the very boring stuff. This is the most boring part. It's a slide about myself, about like how I got into this like traveling and working and stuff like that. So what you can see, like those are the pictures from the company that we are running, Chernobyl Welcome, on a festival that we were dressed up like post-apo like guys, you know, that means like zombies basically. This is drinking vodka in Chernobyl with the granny, with one of the babushkas is there. I'm having an obsession to make pictures of toilets when I'm somewhere away. Also, this is my family here, so I'm trying to travel more and more with my family with 3 kids. Actually, somebody was telling me that this is impossible, but I'm just saying that it's totally possible and it's totally doable. Yes, also with my wife, and if the kids, since they are 3, will not pack into one car, we can still put them in the trunk just in case. I started to travel when I was probably 3 years old. I don't remember that moment, but we went to former Yugoslavia with my parents. It was terrible. What I remember from that travel was that we were sleeping in the car somewhere on the borders between Hungary and Yugoslavia. I don't know why. Probably it was a break for my father, but that was my first travel, pretty bad. And then I was traveling, the furthest I was traveling until my age of like 12 or 15 was Austria, so right behind the borders. So basically nowhere. It changed with the job I took when I was a student at the University of Economics. I started to write for a business weekly that is called Trend here in Slovakia. And I started to have like kind of business trips all over Europe, also to Africa, once to US, I think, as well. And this was something new for me, like going to all of these places. I remember on my first business trip with other journalists that were already like journalists for several years. I remember coming to Italy, to Milan, and I was actually asking like, who guys with whom I'm sharing the room with? And they were like looking like, oh no, you don't share the room. Like journalists are always sleeping separately. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. You know, I was used to dormitories and hostels. Cool. And besides all of these like traveling, I was always having a chance, and that was actually my job, to make an interview or to write a report about that, what I saw, what I've seen, what was happening there. It's either a conference or something. So this was something that I was kind of like, I was being forced to make a snapshot of that time, of that country. And I was reading a lot of books. And once upon a wedding, so it was close to my wedding, it was 6 years ago. Yeah, I think 6 years ago. I was reading a book by Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Workweek. And this was really like what he was writing about, because he was also a workaholic. And then he turned into like more of spending his time on traveling instead of like working and being on emails. It was very much resonating with me. I was like, wow, this could be fun to try. And he was spending on travels, running a company, but on travels 10 months from a year, and he was able to run a company. I was like, wow, this sounds cool. I was not having a company at that time. I was having several like projects, even including like the Chernobyl was just a project for me. And I was like, oh, let's try it. So one of the surprises to my my wife, newly wife, was like, we are going to sell the house and we are going to move to Berlin. I've been to Berlin twice before that, and I really like the atmosphere. I wanted to improve my German again, and I said it will be a great experience for the kids as well. So so she was hesitating a lot. I think she's hesitating until today, but she's confessing now that this was one of the best times we had together. So we spent several months in Berlin, and I was more with the family, because you cannot run away to office or somewhere, you know, like with your friends. You are in Berlin, you are having a flat, and you are there. I was having home office all the time, so I was working actually from there. And out of a sudden, I just noticed that everything I did in Berlin was having 2 to 3 times the outcome than if I would be doing it in Slovakia. So actually I was like, hold on, I'm having more free time. I can be more productive. So I was able to write like articles from Germany, even about like Slovak companies, but from Germany. And I was able to like deliver more even on my like startups, let's say. So that was kind of like very, very surprising to me. And this was one of the points I realized that I can be more efficient even when I'm traveling, if I'm like going out or being outside of my comfort zone, because the time works differently. You know what is the difference between rich people and poor people? Who knows? What's the difference? Rich people, poor people?
Money.
Almost.
Bank accounts.
What? Bank accounts, maybe. Time. Yes, rich people have time. And at the end of the day, it's all about time. If you just look, when you will be, I don't know, 60, 70, you will be looking at your life, and then you will be looking like, oh, I spent this much time working, and then, hooray, there is the retirement, but, you know, my back hurts, and I don't want to travel, you know, I would like to stay at home, and I just want to watch TV. So basically, the whole like mindset of like of dividing work, then some leisure, then some like pension, I think it's outdated. And who of you is saying sometimes, I don't have time? Raise your hands, be brave. I don't have time. Very good.
For what?
Sorry?
For what?
No, if it's just in general, you say, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. Great, you see? Okay, so not saying I don't have a time is 2 things now. I was using it as well a lot. So first is, it's an excuse, because you are just too lazy to do something else, or like to change your habits, or to change something that you do. And the second thing is that it means that you are not having power over your life. So the things just happen to you. Somebody else is having power over your life, so you actually cannot do anything about your time, which is totally wrong, I guess, because all of us, if we don't count 8 hours at work, we can manage the other 16, right? At least. So what I will show you right now is to give you a space of opportunity for you to travel. So you will actually see how to fit it in there. And we need to go down to your schedule. So you will need to like kind of challenge everything you do like currently, and looking at your like work from a different perspective, and also to value your time a little bit more. And I will just tell you about 4 things that I'm using and that really helped me, and it really helped me to be liberated from this like rat race of like working and sleeping and then again from 9 to 5 days a week, and everything we know like from our culture. And I just returned a week ago from North Korea. There they are working 6 days a week, so that's even worse. So 5 is still good. One of the Scrum principles is saying that based on the research, if you are working on one thing, you can be 100% focused. If you start to work on another thing, so you are having two things or two projects going on at the same time, you are losing 20% of your time capacity. That means the 20% just go away for our mind just to switch between two projects or two tasks. And if you have 3, it's 40%. If you have 5, it's 60%. So a lot of your time, if you have, the more you have, the more of the clutter, the more of the projects or things that you are able to do at the same time. And it usually happens at work because you are writing email, phone calls, then somebody's talking to you, then you need to go to the toilet, then you have a coffee, then you have this. In between all of these activities, you lose a lot of time. So that's why I was asking you, write down, what do you think is your net time working? That means really focus 100% on your work. And I bet it's not even half of the 8 hours that is like pre-described by your employer, if you are not self-employed, of course. And I think you were writing down 4 hours, right? Yes. That might be true, right? Based on like all these clutter going away. So if you would like to have more freedom in terms of time, you need to get down to as least as possible of the projects or batching. Batching is one of the principles from GTD. I will get to this a bit later. Also, it means to make a review of what you do with the 80-20 principle. Who of you knows it? I assume everybody, 80-20. Pareto's law, very good. So Pareto was a guy from, Giuseppe Pareto from Italy, who was doing tests in his garden. He was living actually at the same time as Lenin. And no, sorry, it's Karl Marx. Sorry, Karl Marx. It was 9th century. And he noticed that growing some crops, there were 20% of the plants giving 80% of the results. And when he was looking everywhere around the globe and every activity you have, it's actually like this. And even probably in your life, I'm telling to my kids, you are having 20% of the toys, you are playing 80% of the time, so we basically don't need those 80%, right? The other 80%. And it's totally true if you look in your life, especially in your working life. So look and take those activities that are making the most impact on your results, and the others are not a priority. And maybe you should think about delegating or automatizing it. We'll get to that a bit later because you will need it if you would like to be offline. GTD means or stands for getting things done. It's a methodology I'm using just for 2 months, but it's the first time after, 15 years, or maybe less, 12, that I'm able not to bring work with me home, because I usually did so. So I was bringing everything, here in my head. And basically, GTD is based on a very simple principle that our brain is not good at keeping stuff, at keeping something in your head that I need to go and buy bread, I need to go and buy bread, I need to go and buy bread. It's very frustrating for your brain. Our brain is made for creating ideas. In order to help him to do his job right, you need to, everything that is having your attention, you need to put away. So you need to put into your external brain. What is external brain? It can be anything. It can be your phone, it can be your tablet, it can be your diary, it can be your assistant if you have some, just tell your assistant, take care about this. But basically what I'm using, it's like notes, I use Evernote. So everything that is having my attention, even if I'm in the car, I just record it, and it's stored somewhere, and my mind is again free to make better decisions or to focus on something else, and to think, to create ideas. And GTD is having 5 steps. I will not bore you with that, but one of the 2 rules I would like to leave you with, if you would like to study a bit more on GTD, you can just really easily Google it. The first is 2-minute rule. 2-minute rule. So if there is something you can do in 2 minutes, do it. Don't leave it or don't write it down somewhere else. Just do it, and then anything else that takes more time, just put it somewhere in your notes or somewhere where you can find it in your diary, and get to it as long as you will have the time for it, so you just have the time frame. And the second rule is batching, very useful. I was not using it before. And batching means actually getting rid of the scrum of the missing 20, 40, or 60%. So putting stuff together. So if you are going to call your mom, make sure that you write down all the calls you need to do that day. So it's like calling. So it's just calling. And then you can even turn off your phone so nobody will disturb you. And you can focus, for example, on what you need to do on emails or on computer. The same as I'm having now, like lists for like garden, what I need to do in the garden, because you usually forget when you are at home, what you need to do at home. When I'm at home, I open, oh yes, I wanted to do this, and I do it. So there is less and less stuff or clutter that is occupying my mind because I need to do it sometimes, or it will become important or urgent. So try it, at least for one day, maybe 2 days, and you will see how much more efficient you can be with batching things into batches. And the last thing is about prioritizing, because I think we Slovaks, maybe in Uzbekistan the same, we are the masters of not being able to prioritize. It's thanks to our school system, sorry, maybe not the university system, because we tend to repeat stuff, and we are not able to, we are not taught to have the common sense and to be able to say what is a priority based on, for example, the 80-20 principle. So you will not do the less important 20% results. So it's about, it's a video.
Getting distracted by little things in life is easy. By starting your day with trivial activities, you will not have the time for the things that actually matter. Whether you are a businessman, mother of four, or a professional, anyone can lose focus of the things that are important in life and fill precious time with meaningless things. In the 80s, Stephen Covey taught the importance of prioritizing the important things in life, which will enable you to do more than you ever thought was possible. His concepts still apply to life today. Even if you think you know all of this already, the visualization metaphor really hits home. This demonstration from the 7 habits of highly effective people will change how you prioritize. If you lack focus and want to do more important things in your day, you have to check out this life-changing video.
So your day or your time is the jar. So end up the day usually with a lot of tasks that are important undone.
Though there's never enough time to do everything, there's always enough time to do the most important thing. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, 7 Big Rocks, for more productivity tips.
Very good. So a little bit of video, and let's go further with our goal of like traveling. Bye. And it's about let's packing. So let's go and pack. If you already decided that you would like to visit more of the world that you already done today, and then usually if you would like to travel, like somebody even quits his job, but I think it's not necessary to quit your job. And now I would like to ask you for another 5 minutes of your time, grabbing your notebooks, and if you can, with the same principles that you did with your regular day, if you can describe in the hours or percentage or what works for you, your travel or vacation day. You can take the latest vacation that you did and just write down like your sleeping time, your working time, your relaxing time, your eating and everything. So if you can just drill it down to hours, again, please make it 24. If you will make it less than 24, I will have a job for you. So okay, so again the same exercise, but now it's not your regular day here at home, but it's your day on a vacation or during a travel. So how does it look like? Items on the list even. So now if you compare these two lists, if you're not done, just take your time. But if you compare these two lists, like the ordinary day, whereas the travel or vacation day, you will see a lot of changes in terms of like time, what you use. For example, you don't need 3 meals a day, but you need only 2 meals a day. You don't need to commute because your beach is just outside of the town, or you actually count the transportation within your travels. Or yeah, I don't know if you have the work time, but if you don't have the colleagues around you, you can be like much more efficient in terms of like really focusing on what needs to be done. So if you look at your savings, it's the percentage time you can save on a travel, and actually this is a time that you can use either for like splitting it between your like free time, so that means going out, exploring, or splitting it between your work. Because the next point is, and I think one of the biggest questions is if you can earn while you're traveling. And we are not speaking about the regular vacation that you just say to your boss like, bye-bye for 2 weeks and like see you in 2 weeks and I don't care anymore. But there is a chance that you can work, and you can even work more efficient when you are outside of the office, and even if you're traveling. And you can keep your earnings, and if not your earnings, the same amount, so you can still have savings. One of the rule of thumb for travelers is not to set up your travel and then making the budget, but first looking at your budget that you have. For example, you have 50 euros or $50 a day, and make the most out of it. That means most for sleeping, for food, for all necessary things you need, and besides that, finding a way how to travel, how to move. I will give you the tips further down the road, the presentation, how to make it really, really cheap, and also some books on how to travel really cheaply. Then I encourage you, if you can just maybe now underscore or maybe write down again, what is the work, and actually what are also the hobbies, because we as humans, we need the work, but we need also our hobbies, our passion to be with us on the travels. So what work and what hobbies you can perform while you are traveling. So for example, if you are working with a computer, so intellectual worker, what of that can be done remotely? It's in the cloud, or or it needs to, can be done on the phone or something, so you don't need to be present. What amount of it? That helps you with negotiation with your boss. Like, I would like to travel, and I would like to do this. I can do this, but this I would need to delegate to somebody, and I will find a person. I will take care of it. You don't need to, but this is something I cannot do if I'm not in the office. And hobbies. I mean, usually we don't need like a lot of things for our hobbies. Somebody likes to read books, somebody likes to watch TV, somebody likes to go into the gym and work out. So actually on the travel, you don't need to go to a gym, of course, but there are like gyms you can find, of course, but you can work out in the hotel room or in your flat. And you can again save not just the money, but you can save the time going and spending, going to gym, finding the gym. So now find a balance between work and hobby. Okay, it shouldn't be, if you are traveling, it shouldn't be about like keeping your work. It should be about your hobby and of course about exploring. We'll get to that later. And one of the most important things, especially when you are on travels, is a big difference between being efficient and being effective. So being efficient is the least one, is to make things that you do 100% really like great. Like I don't know, write a great email 100%. Being efficient is about asking if it's really important, if it's really something that is, that is having a purpose. Because you might write a ton of great emails, but do they have any purpose? You know, if there is there something at the end? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? And this is maybe something that you will actually challenge your current position and your current job. Because many of the things are efficient, we are great at it, we are great at making coffee. But who is actually drinking it besides us? Like maybe nobody else, you know? Is it productive? Are we contributing to this world or to this society? No, we are not. So you will need to challenge maybe something that you do already. On the go, this is something that I will ponder upon a little bit more, because if you do this part right, planning right, everything will be easier. You will be just you will get surprises, of course, on the way down, but there will be something inside of you saying it's okay, it's okay. You will actually cherish your surprises and your stumble upons. So if you would like to start with this vagabonding, I encourage you to start small. So go for some city breaks. Try to take Thursday and Friday off, and then Saturday, Sunday. So extend your weekend going somewhere. And it's okay for the beginning to go just to Vienna or to Budapest or to just travel around a little bit and seeing what it means not to be in the current working environment, in the office. So you can actually ask for even smaller start for a home office. But, there is one big but, you need to prove to your boss or even to yourself that you can be more productive if you are away than if you are in the office. Because otherwise, your ego inside of you would be saying, is this a good idea? Am I doing the right thing? And of course, if you are having a boss, he will challenge you like, why the hell? I need you here because I need to talk to you. But if you prove him or her that you will be able to be more efficient when you are away of the office, because your colleagues will not approach you, because you don't need to go to somewhere to buy coffee. You don't need to go for a lunch somewhere for 1 hour because you can cook it at home, or you can just have it in the cafeteria that you are sitting down in Vienna or Milan. That's perfectly fine. So prove the stellar work. Seek for added value. I think this will go on. This will be happening to you like instantly. That you will stumble upon like new ideas, new people. I encourage you also to go and take a look at your competition somewhere in a different country, or somebody or some partners that you have, as your company has. So you can actually bring to your boss some new knowledge, or you can bring to yourself some new insight of like what is going on down there. So what they are using, how the offices look like. You don't need to do like really like spying on things and pretend that you are somebody that you are not. But everything, every small detail can count at the end if it's something important. So bring the added value, and you might be very valuable for your company, even though you are not present in the office the 4 weeks from the month, but only 2 weeks now. But you can bring a lot of valuable things from outside. Even the way how, I don't know, how McDonald's works in China is different than here. You can just put it as an example, like they are using this. Maybe we can start to use at least part of it and see how much more efficient we can get. One thing that is also about planning, there is a say that the best plan A is always having a better plan B behind it, because this will give you comfort. So always plan for the worst, hope for the best. So planning for the worst means having a plan B. So what will happen in the worst case scenario? What will happen if you lose your access to the cloud, the internet will not work? What will happen if somebody of your customers or somebody will need to talk to you personally, how to approach you or how to approach your colleagues? So if you just can delegate it to somebody else. So make sure about the deadlines. You know, like what is the deadline? Make sure that you are not traveling during a deadline that is like really important for the company, and you need to be present if something gets wrong. Devices that's with like getting lost, for example, your iPhone gets lost or stolen, happens, and being available. For example, you can tell at your office that I am always on the phone every day from 10 to 11, guaranteed. I will be on the phone. You can call me at that time for sure. I will pick it up. In different time, I'm not sure, because I might not be in the area where is the internet or where is the signal. Very important, don't forget to buy some souvenirs from your travels to your colleagues. They will love it. Okay. The more odd souvenirs, the better. One important thing, you saw the passport. This is hard to translate to English, but it's a quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. It says that keď nejde o život, ide hovno. So take it easy, and basically everything you need for your travels is just your passport. Everything else can be bought. So I am telling this also to tourists that are coming with me to Chernobyl zone, that actually we had one problem at the borders, because the guy was having a passport, but it was not labeled. You know, you were not having the foil on it, so it looked like fake. So that was 1 hour of discussion and negotiation, like to let us through the border. But otherwise, if you have the passport, anything else could be just could be bought with all these fancy logos that you see. Regarding cash, maybe some of you are having cash, are concerned about like taking cash somewhere outside. Cash is always good. Like not all your cards are working with the ATMs, and you can like I experienced it now in Beijing. It was terrible experience to pay with your Visa. So have some cash. Most importantly, have some small denomination. So in case you will be really at the very last path somewhere in Nepal, you can pay at least with the small dollars or small euros. Don't take the coins. Nobody likes the coins. They like paper money, so it's always better to have some paper money prepared. The people will take it, like it's okay. So on the go, this is really shortly before you start to travel. So what will be happening? You will probably get overwhelmed with all the things that needs to be sorted, that needs to be planned, that needs to be researched before you go. So for example, where are you going? What is the currency? What is the what is the criminal percentage there? What is like where to live? If there are some cockroaches in the hotel and stuff like that. It can be too much for like at first sight, but it always gets easy when you are over there already. It's always like it always turns out fine or 99.9% of the time. So the human nature is that we are like in order to survive. I know our pre-ancestors for thousands of years were based on this instinct to survive. So we are driven by fear. Nowadays in today's world, most of the fears that you have will never come true. So it's fine to be afraid, like if the plane will be on time or if I will make it. somewhere for an exchange flight, but most of the time you will. So don't bother your head about like this stuff. Discipline, it's very important, especially when you are working and traveling. So to have the hours dedicated for work and, for example, being available on the phone for your boss. That means that it's okay to party at night, but then you need to make sure that you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning as you promised, and you will work for 2 hours to accomplish something before rest of your office will wake up and go to work and see that and wait for your like inputs or answers. Being online on the phone, delegate and elevate. This is really hard, and it's still hard for me because I still have the feeling that I know it best how to write something, how to comment on something, how to, I don't know, whatever. So this is a disease that we know best, but sometimes you need to take the leap of faith and really give your colleagues or your friends or your family the trust of that they can do this, they can handle this, and give them the responsibility. Most of the time, everything that can go wrong can be also fixed. So in case they will not do the right thing in terms of your job or your responsibilities, you can still fix it when you come back home. Outsource. I know this is a buzzword already, but outsourcing, especially things that you are not that good at or you are not enjoying, is really the best thing. So I don't want to go much into detail like about having an assistant. I know it's a fairy tale for most of us, but there is actually a way how to get an assistant with most of the things that you are, most of the clutter that you are, it's done, for example, on internet. So actually, you can, for example, hire an assistant part-time. That means you will pay only the hours that she or he will work in India. You can use, for example, yourmaninindia.com, and you can have very cheaply an assistant that will help you with a lot of things that is outside. So you can actually outsource many stuff. Don't outsource your credit card details and stuff like that, but outsource really something that is taking your time, you don't enjoy it, and you are not good at it. It's regarding your work and regarding your personal life as well. Automatize, I don't know. This is probably true, for example, for like passwords. You are having passwords all over the internet. For example, I use LastPass. So you check out lastpass.com, and you will have one password for all of the sites that you need in order to save time, in order to be like online when you need and pay when you need, for example, on your Amazon or so on. The same, for example, with renewing. For example, when domains that I own are being expired, so I am having the automatic renewal turned on. So try to make this like upfront of your travel. So especially if you would like to spend months away, so make sure that nothing is expiring, and if it's expiring, just automatize the renewal. This is a very important point. I will just stress it very, very much, but it's especially psychology-wise very good to know about the worst case scenario. So the worst thing that can happen to you, either when you're traveling, getting injured, getting killed, getting stuff like that, but especially what can happen to your work, to your business, to your home, or whatever you have, your possessions that you have here. So what can be the worst thing? I encourage you to write it down, what can be the worst case scenario. So for example, my house can burn out, or my business will fall or will get bankrupt. Just write it down, and looking at it, your mind will already start to figure out like plan Bs and everything, but it's very important to be okay with it. So even if your business will go bankrupt, it's a great lesson, but you can build the same business or very similar business in 10% of the time now, because you are having already the experience. So is it the worst case scenario? Okay, it might be the worst case scenario, but maybe at the end I can start a new business. Okay, so try to be psychologically okay with what can happen to you. It's very important because this will remove all the stress that can occur during the travel. Like, what is going on with like the office? What is going on with this? So So you can just be okay with the worst case scenario. Again, 99.9% of the time, nothing will happen. You but write it down for your mind to be calm. This is probably something why you came here, to get some tips on how to travel, how to be more efficient. So I encourage you to have a plan up front. That means to have some goals, what you want to see, experience on your travels, what are the points, what are the venues that you want to go, or what are some events or highlights that you would like to have from your travel. Because then you know, then you know how to budget it, and also actually when is your mission accomplished. So you don't need to set up the exact dates. For example, it's a 14-day vacation, but maybe your goal is to hike up the Kilimanjaro and down, and you don't worry about like how many days it will take. You just, this is my goal and I will do it. I encourage you to use Evernote. This is really a life-saving app that you can have on your phone, on your notebook, like everywhere accessible. It's always I always take notes there. It's good for my mind and also to make notes from my travels. So one day, if I would need to like tell my friends or my family about like the travels or taking even the pictures, I put it into Evernote without delay. So if something happens, I just type it in, because you know we remember only 7 seconds ago, so it's good to make it into 7 seconds. Books, I always take books, sometimes even more than I need, but it's great to spend your time efficiently, because you don't have time at home most of the time to read books. And it's like airplane, waiting in the line, waiting in the queue. I know you will be odd because everybody is listening to some music or is just waving with a passport, but it's 10, 15 minutes, and that can be 5, 10 pages of your book. And step by step, you can just read a whole book. I was reading now, like in Korea, I read one book, and then I read or I listened to another 2 audiobooks just on commuting, like being on the bus, being somewhere at the airport. So it's adding up the time, and you can use much more efficiently. For airfare, so for air tickets, I'm using usually kiwi.com. It's a Czech startup, very good for finding the best airfare in the dates you are thinking about your travels. And it's giving you not just the exact location, like for example, you are in Bratislava, so only the air tickets from Vienna and Bratislava, but also like wider range, for example, Budapest, Prague, and you can actually decide how to combine your travels. So I recommend you to use Kiwi. After you arrive to a country that is especially outside of the EU, I recommend you to buy a local SIM card. I wouldn't recommend you to buy it on airport if you are not forced, because it's overpriced. But if you are really forced that you need the internet and everything, you need to, for example, call a cab on Uber. So buy it on the airport, but usually just buy it somewhere in the city and make sure that it's like big data. So have a spare phone, put it in, and make a hotspot. For example, I'm having one phone as a local one, as a hotspot for the other one that I'm using for chatting, working, and stuff, or for my laptop. For currency, much of the currency in like different states you will not get in the Slovak exchange offices, of course. So check the exchange rate on oanda.com or FX converter. So that's the actual price, and you can also look in the back how it is like moving if you like this kind of like charts. But then take euros, dollars. In Asia, also the Chinese yuan. That's also a good currency to have with. And you can exchange or you can withdraw from your ATM, but I would recommend still exchanging. It's still cheaper than taking out from ATM. Depends on the country, so you can check with your bank, but exchange is like it's the safe bet. But don't exchange on the street, okay? Always use something official, just not or in order not to get ripped off. For language, I know we are like, we know some English, okay? Everybody understands here. But the rest of the world is still in the 19th century, and picture that they're speaking their own language, and they have no clue about like even English. So it's really hard to move in some countries. So you can use Google Translate. There is an app that is actually allowing you, for example, when you don't know the writing, to point your smartphone and it will translate it for you. Also, when you record something in English, then you are giving it to the other person that you want, and it will play in his language. So that's like very helpful, especially, for example, when you want to order something in a restaurant, or you don't know how to say beer and they don't know how to say beer. So it might save your time. It might save your life sometimes. And if you would like to learn a language, like a new language that you would like to especially travel for the sake of like learning a new language, I recommend you to check out the Fluent Forever. It's a great book about a different approach how to learn languages very fast and remembering it. LastPass, I told you about LastPass, so having your passport all the time with you. Also regarding LastPass, I don't use it, but I recommend to have some app for, like, in case of you get stolen, for example, your iPhone. For example, iPhones are having it inbuilt, but maybe for your like Androids or something, just make sure that if it gets stolen, you will not be harmed. So make sure that there is an app that is either tracking it or shutting it off, especially from your account. Big thing, again, I would like to recommend you that write down a list to pack and have it all the time with you. I'm having it in Evernote, and all the time I'm traveling, I'm going through the list so I don't forget the toothbrush and stuff like that, because you always forget something, and with the list you will have it all the time with you, at least the most important things. Talk. Very simple thing. I know that we are, especially when we are having internet, we like to do this everywhere. And this way, you just lose the experience of a country, of the culture, of everything that you might get there. So be offline, or don't be afraid to be offline and talk to other people. Even though it will be super hard for them to like speak with you, even they don't speak for example, English, and you need to do the translation with Google Translate. Speak, because this will give you a totally new perspective. It's like going somewhere, for example, to the city center and just look around. But if you're talking to people, it's actually like having a guide. So it fills up the content in the form that you are entering in. So let's pretend that the country is a form and the content is done by the people. So make sure you talk to some of them. You don't need to like pick up the girls, guys, okay, or something, but at least just talk. Even like elder people, it's really nice to talk. There's a bonus, the kicker. Probably nobody knows what it is. It's a name for what I call a kicker, and I'm having it in my diary, and I use it especially when I'm traveling. It's something that I never did before. Simple. It's something that I never did before. So I'm especially seeking during my travel, but now also like during my everyday life, doing every day something that I didn't do before. So as an example, I don't know, for example, in Beijing, for some reason, we used the fire door from going out of a shopping mall, and it started to yell on the most crowded street in Beijing, and everybody was looking. I mean, everybody's looking at you because you are white, but now they were looking at you because there was alarm behind you as well. So this was a thrilling experience, and it was a kicker for me that day. This was not even planned. So wherever you see somewhere something to try, to taste, to cook, to whatever, just try it. Give it a try. This will again like make the experience of the whole traveling much better. So highly recommend it. More tips, because tips are never enough of tips, right? For an app that you, for example, you really need to work, and you need to work remotely with a computer that cannot be taken away. For example, your company computer that needs to be located in Slovakia because of the security reason or GDPR, whatever. There is a nice app. It's called Go to My PC. So you can download Go to My PC, and actually from this app you see your computer. So it will be like exactly mirroring your computer. I'm using, for example, Dropbox and Drive. So I'm putting all the stuff to Dropbox and Drive. Also Evernote is a cloud, but you don't put like attachments to Evernote or stuff. Then for those of you who really would like to cheaply call, I recommend the IPs or voice over IP. So it's the most like uses the Vonage IP, and there is a Czech one that is called 802.cz. How to call that in English? CZ? I don't know. Telephone. So that's something that you can use for like voice over IP. So that's actually, if you are online, all the calls will be the how to call that, the redialed through IP, so it will not cost you any money, especially when you're somewhere far away. I don't use it because I like to support telecom, you know, with all the invoices and everything. World Travel Watch, especially for those of you who would like to travel safely. So if there is a conflict or something or a recommendation, check worldtravelwatch.com, especially when you're traveling, for example, with your family. To make sure that everything is fine, settled, there is no risk. Escape Artist is a great website, especially about things that you were afraid to ask. For example, how to have a fake passport and stuff like that. So this is really good for like travelers and for people who like to hack. So this is a good inspiration. Onebag.com, when you need to pack in one bag, for those of you who are using low-cost airlines. So onebag.com. Of course, we use electronic devices, and not every plugs are the same as here in Europe. In Uzbekistan, you are having the same plugs as we have in the wall, yeah? Perfect. So, but not everywhere in the world, so make sure that you check it out on kopla.com. So what are the plugs? But in case you are tired of checking it out all the time, you can invest some $15 to Travel Smart All-in-One. That's a device that is actually turning. That is a device like charger, basically for like different outlets. So. Well, now how to travel cheaply, because the two most or the highest costs that are being done by the traveling is the transportation. That means the airfare, buses, trains, stuff like that. Okay, you can use hitchhiking. For those of you, I was hitchhiking when I was a student. It was fine. It was fun. I don't hitchhike anymore. But for example, for traveling to sleep over somewhere for free, couchsurfing or hospitality club, in case you would like to pay some amount Airbnb but stay with the locals, it's great. It's again great experience for not just to sleep somewhere, but also to have the local experience, because there is a local with you. You can talk, you can get recommendations from. Sometimes they even prepare you something like for like a welcome cake or a welcome coffee, whatever you like. So that's very, very nice. For those of you who already know that if you will start to travel, you will lose your job, good news. There are some websites that are offering you some remote work. So check out Upwork.com. And for those of you who like manual work, it's WooF International. So that's actually you're coming somewhere, especially to an agricultural like farm, and you will work there for a few hours a day. And for this, you are getting, for example, a bed and breakfast for free. So you actually work manually, you get the bed and breakfast for free, and then the rest of the time you can just travel around. So woofinternational.com. Once you arrive, then you would like to, and you are not with your buddies, or even if you are with your buddies, that you would like to go, you would like to know more people. So use Meetup. It's not working in Slovakia pretty much, but I recommend, like for example, on like west from Slovakia, like all the countries are using it. It's getting really big. So Meetup, on Meetup you can find people with similar interests that are meeting up, for example, somewhere for coffee or for a discussion or for whatever, and just join them, go there. You will get new people. It can all actually help you with your like innovations, ideas. Toastmasters is a great, it's a great network of people. There are some clubs here in Bratislava as well with different languages. Toastmasters is like about like leadership and speaking skills. but it's about a lot about networking. So I recommend you check out toastmasters.org. And then if you are a part of some church, you can always find your fellow brothers and sisters of your church somewhere in a different country. So that might be also a good way how to get together with other people. For those of you who would like to go even beyond this, probably the biggest recommendation is giving yourself allowance to understand others. I know it already sounded here like you were saying it, but it's really not about it. It's about not judging, because we have a lot of filters. For example, politic filters, our religion filters, whatever, that we are coming from a culture, Slovakia, Uzbekistan, and when you come to a different country, you think these are really weird people here, what they are doing, and this is judging, and this is actually blocking your mind of accepting new things. So it's actually you are coming there just to complain or to see that despite all these corruption here in Slovakia, it's still a great country comparing to Peru, for example. But it's not about that. So I recommend you really to not to judge and really to be open-minded. There is a rule of thumb, and I really believe it. It's from NLP that there is always a good motivation behind anything. So there, even behind a murder, so there is a good motivation behind it. So there is a good idea. So there was a good intention, even behind the murder. So everything that is happening somewhere in the world, that that people are poor, or that you will see unclean things or whatever, there is a good reason behind it, and you just need to figure out why, if you are interested. So, for those of you who like to read on this topic, I recommend Rolf Potts' Vagabonding. That's about really about this travel mindset, about hacking. My favorite, Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Workweek. Doesn't mean that you will work 4 hours a week, but it gives you a great inspiration about how you can actually achieve a liberation from your work and from this rat race that we are living in usually. Matt Kepnes, How to Travel the World on 50 days, $50 a day, especially for cheap travels. Really good tips there. Don't forget to ask things, because the person who asks is considered to be a dump only for 5 minutes, but the person who is not asking is considered a dump for the rest of his life. That's a Chinese proverb. It's true, because if you don't ask, and you will never actually understand why it is so. So don't be afraid to ask, even silly things, especially locals. Why is this so? Why is this so? Somebody asked me in Chernobyl, why the roads, those are guys from Finland, why the roads were so wide, and why the roads are so wide, because the roads are extremely wide. They could be a highway there. And I just said, Soviet Union was a big country, so they were building big roads just for fun. And then I realized after a few months that he wrote it into his thesis, that this was one of the things he used in his thesis. So be careful about this. And I still don't know why the roads are so wide in the former Soviet Union. I don't know. I was asking, nobody could tell me. Somebody told me that it was used for landing airplanes, so that's why. But everywhere there are wide roads. Also tasting. Don't be afraid to taste. I know it. For example, I was eating in Beijing a scorpio, that was fried. I was like, what, fried scorpio? It's but it actually, the taste was really good. It was better than the worm right next to it. Yeah, so try, taste. Routines. That's again about discipline. So that the best performers in the world, for example athletes or sportsmen, they are having their routines. For example, morning routine, evening routine. Your routines will be challenged on the travels, because you will not have your room. You will not have all the things that you are used to, whatever you are used to at home. But try to find a way how to do routines. We were talking already about working out, so you can easily find books or even YouTube videos about how to make a very efficient workout without any dumbbell, without any machine that are known from our gym. So you can really like find a way how to get into your routines. Happiness versus pleasure. One big thing, but it's again about mindset. But I think the traveling will help you with this, because you will see different people, different cultures. You will be shocked like how the people like can be happy with when they are so poor. Like for example, Bhutan. You know, Bhutan is a pretty poor country, but like according to the research, they are the happiest people in the world. You know, and again, it's about like the mindset, and I encourage you to look for happiness on your travels. And there is a big difference between pleasure and happiness, because happiness is something that is filling you in from the inside, that you will actually experience from the inside, that something will open up your mind. And pleasure is something that you need to take from outside. Like I need to have more food because I like to eat. It's bringing me pleasure, but pleasure is bringing you one thing, and it causes you only more pleasure. Whereas happiness fills out and it stays. Pleasure, you need to have more pleasure, more pleasure. So people who are on drugs, they need to have more drugs. People who like to have alcohol, they need to have more alcohol because it's pleasure for them. So try to look for your bliss. Try to look for your happiness somewhere in the culture or somewhere where you travel. Okay, and again, exercise. Do we have time for an exercise? No. Wow, how come we are overtime? I thought it will be for like 45 minutes. Sorry guys, because you are having you will have an excursion around the incubator here as well, so that's super interesting. So homework, okay, prepare please your bucket list. So all the countries that you would like to visit, and I encourage you to also put a time frame there. So for example, I would like to visit within a year or within 5 years these countries or these places. Okay, that's about it. We are ending up home sweet home, and I experienced it ever since. When I'm coming back to Slovakia, I'm really happy for what conditions and what is the culture I'm living in. I'm always grateful like being back in Slovakia. Although I know it's far from perfect, it's far from the potential that we have. Maybe you have the same experience in Uzbekistan. I've never been there. It's on my bucket list. So we end up at home, and thank you not for listening, but for traveling. And I encourage you to be a traveler, not a tourist. You know what is the difference? Traveler versus tourist? So tourists, they go for the best things. They go for Eiffel Tower. They do a selfie with Eiffel Tower, and that's it. I've put it on Facebook, and that's my goal. They never experience the back street somewhere. They never experience the culture. They don't talk to locals. They have their own guide. And traveler, it's a hacker. The traveler doesn't even have for example, the infinite, like the goal. For example, today I'm going for Eiffel Tower. I make a picture, but then I would like to just walk next to Siena. Siena? What's the river there? Siena. Just walk. Just simply walk and take a look around. You know, like really, like kind of like diving into the atmosphere, becoming a French for a few seconds. So that's a big difference between traveler and tourist. So I encourage you to be a traveler, not a tourist. Okay, and I leave you with this thought. I wish you always a happy coming back home. Thank you for your listening, and I'm prepared for your questions if you have any.